Good afternoon and welcome back to another ironic introduction to another video. Before I do my review, the fastest and I think most efficient way to farm incursions is to really just do it once every 5 days, if that at all. I think just the first two initial runs, one when it comes out, one 5 days later, is probably the best way to grind incursions, and then just kind of backlog it, maybe grab the milestones later on. And the reason for this is very simple. The top zone bonus applies only once, and you've got all 30 days. So you might be tempted on day one to jump in, do Sector 7, and then, later on or immediately after, do Sector 6 with your buddy. But the thing is, once you've claimed your top milestones on either of these, to be honest, whichever sector you happen to start in, if you push to like zone 9 or 10, give or take, it takes about an hour in Sector 7, probably a little less time on Sector 6, and when you go to claim your points, you will have cleared your milestones in their entirety. So once you do that first initial run, you're no longer getting milestone points. So if you don't clear as far as you do on your initial run, there's no value there. And even if you do clear, let's say a couple rooms past your initial run, you're only getting whatever rooms you cleared past. So there's this potential for it to be completely botched run, and then you get zero rewards besides the like zone to zone rewards for your efforts, or two, you only push like 1 or 2 zones further, and you only get a small quantity of rewards. But if you were to wait 5 days, wait for the timer to reset, and then jump in, you would at least be double dipping on the milestone rewards, and in this way you have effectively 5 to 6 tries during a 30-day period to really push the top zone you can. So if you're looking to do it efficiently, time efficiency wise, jump in on launch, push the highest sector you can, push the highest zone you can, and then back off, wait for the reset, jump into your lower sector, grab your top zone rewards here as well, back off, and then 5 days later, if you want to try to push higher zones, you can in your highest tier sector. But in my opinion, you should probably just jump on, grab the milestones for the dungeon points real quick, and back off. Like once you've claimed zone 9 or zone 10 in this give or take range, I personally don't think these higher zones are really worth doing unless you just enjoy the game mode and you want to play it for fun. Even myself, I'll probably push it a little bit. So that said, as far as review goes, I think incursions, I think there's a lot of good that I really want to focus on, but for me, it's kind of a letdown. So the good I want to focus on first is that the rewards are solid. If you push just, zone 10 in Sector 6 and Sector 7, you get about 1 and a third, a little more than actually, of a 5-star crystal, as well as about 1,000,000 gold. So it means for probably about 2 hours a month, I'm seeing 1,000,000 gold plus a free 5-star / in the form of 5-star shards and dungeon points combined. And that's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Overall, I just think that once you push zone 9, there's like no incentive to really push higher. Like initially, it was really easy to see all of these 5-star shards in zones 11 through 25 and see 500 5-star shards and say, wow, how are you going to tell me that's not worth pushing? But when you see the scaling difficulty and the time investment and the challenge of it, it's just not worth the time. You're just better off grinding units, battle chips in the arena, etc. And honestly, at one point in the sectors, it stopped being fun. I think the point it stops being fun for me was about when it started getting challenging. And maybe that's just me. Maybe you'll have a different opinion. You'll really like seeing your souped up champions. But for me, once it gets challenging, it stops being fun because the challenge, it doesn't feel interactive. The challenge is literally just raw scaling. Like the champions just get bigger. You reach the point where you can't really do anything about block damage, so just blocking a hit, you take a ton of damage. You reach the point where you take 1 hit, 2 hits to the face, and you're just dead, and that's not exciting for me. Personally, that's not why I play the game. I just don't believe in raw power scaling. I love a challenge. I really enjoy it. I'm the kind of person who jumps in with 3 stars to do epic events. But for me, at least with a 3-star, you can kind of sort of take some block damage. But in this one, once you hit zone 9, zone 10, the block damage is absurd. On top of that, it's still, you run into these like really, really frustrating fights like Ebony Maw and like Dormammu's and stuff, where it's just like, wow, I really can't believe that like I'm playing this buffed up node where like I have all these buffs and now I'm up against Dormammu, where the buff falls off. And you're going to take a degen to the face. Personally, I just could have done without that. I think what I would have liked to see is, you can change champions without having to, worry about also getting buffs. I would have liked to see heals at the end of every room, regardless of whether or not you choose a rare hack. I don't like that you have to choose one or the other, because if you like opt to revive your team or heal up a little bit, you lose out on the rare hack, and it's really the rare hacks that are allowing you to push forward really strong. And like once you lose that rare hack, you're like pretty much doomed to fail a few sectors later, unless you get lucky on your rewards or you're just really skilled enough to push through with skill. Additionally, when you swap out a champion, they go on cooldown, so you can't swap them back in. I don't like that. I think that it would be neat if the cooldown started at the end of your run, so you could rotate through 7 to 10 champions, and then they all go on cooldown as soon as you end. But at least you can build up a pool, right? Because you're already playing off of the same health total, so it doesn't make sense for them to go on cooldown the moment you immediately swap out. And the reason I think this would be a really good change for the mode is you could, start the path and you could go, oh, there's a Dormammu and I'm running Captain Marvel movie team. I can switch out for like Ghost or Human Torch. And you don't feel like, oh, once you've done that switch out, you have to recommit to that champion. And I think that would be a really good change, and it's going to allow, especially people who are trying to push these higher zones, the ability of flexibility to really stretch their rosters. It provides that motivation and that kind of incentive to push larger rosters, because at the moment, the approach to Sector 7 and pushing these higher zones is just ranking up champions who can, go all the way through, pushing through with like Aegon or Morningstar, champions who are really, really good at these high, power rating fights. But I'm not going to rank up a Morningstar personally anytime soon, especially not for what I consider a side event for the most part. And yeah, for some people, it's going to be amazing. They're going to be like, look, this is my Morningstar in action, and it is her time to shine. But what about the rest of us who don't want to rank up a Morningstar for this content? I just feel like it could have been both. Right, you could have had the Morningstar and pushed your way through, or you could have, had a larger, diverse roster and, approach each fight with different champions every time, and then they just all go on cooldown. Like if you swapped out 20 champions during the course of, 25 zones, all on cooldown, that's it. You only got one run, but that's fine. I think that would have been totally reasonable. So overall, that's kind of my approach and mentality there. On top of that, I really don't think I don't even think the cooldown was necessary. The game mode is fun. You don't get like an insane amount of rewards from zone to zone, excluding the milestone and the top zone rewards. So I don't think there would have been any like major problem leaving the cooldown like really, really low, like the same as it is in Arena, and allowing people to just jump in here for fun, because I think that's like a really important aspect of Incursions, is it is a really, really, really fun mode. It's just not time efficient. Like the hour or so I spent in Incursions, that's me setting up all my infinite streaks in Arena. That's me pushing a 6-star, a 5-star, and a 4-star rotation, and that's a really, really good amount of units, battle chips, and shards coming my way. And yes, 1 hour Incursions is worth it, but when we start talking about the 3rd, 4th, 5th hour, it no longer becomes worth that time, in my opinion. So overall, there's some really positive things here, but I would like to see kind of like a small tweak, maybe a couple months from now. As far as tweaks, things that I think could make it better, I think it's the remove the cooldowns, maybe allow people to swap champions without taking any penalties. So give them the option to both sever link and swap champions. Allow people to heal up at the end of every zone, as well as select the rarity hack. Maybe it's just a reduced heal, 10% heal or 10% revive or something. I think that that's really friendly. I think that these top zone rewards, after I've done it and I've pushed the content, I think 5-star shards are an understatement. I think that's really unnecessary, and just kind of like Bam not getting the memo. Because the people who are really, really pushing into these higher zones, they're going to be people towards the end game, people with high skill, people with the ability to push into these zones, and 5-star shards and 60,000 gold. it's just not cutting it. In my opinion, maybe up to like zone 15, the 5-star shards are reasonable, but from zone 16 on, it should really be like 500 6-star shards. 500 6-star shards and like 100,000 gold. It needs to be a higher scaled up here. It doesn't make sense that from zone 11 to 15, it's 5-star shards and 60k gold, and it's still the same on zone 25. Like, that just doesn't make sense thematically. You know, you're pushing zone 25 and you're still getting the same rewards you got for zone 11. It just feels like an oversight in my opinion. So yeah, I think if those things get changed, the game mode improves a lot overall. I'd like to see friendship bonus changed from having like a 4 friendship bonus to having like 5 or 6, just to make it so like if you play with a different person each day of zones, of incursions, you get a different package every time. That way there's kind of an incentive there as well. Overall, I think those changes would kind of take this content from what I consider like decent / relatively good content to like absolutely amazing great content. Because the thing is, remember that Incursions is going to be around probably for a very long time, and as people scale into like rank 3 6 stars, rank 4 6 stars, the higher sectors are going to get easier, but at the same time the value of the rewards is going to drop as well. So I'd like to just see kind of better future proofing in my opinion. So that said, hopefully you appreciate the review. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if there are any major changes you'd like to see, things that you think maybe I overlooked, or maybe you think I'm misjudging it and you disagree. Feel free to debate me in the comments, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.